Hi, and welcome everyone to Storykit Talks live. I have lost count of the number of episodes, but I'm going to look for the next episode. For all of you in here live, please ask questions, raise your hands, do whatever, sing a little song. We love when you participate. It makes everything a lot more fun and a lot better. And today I'm really excited for a good episode because I've been doing a couple of podcasts, talks, these things for a while now. And almost every time I get a question or I come to a point where I have to say, I need to ask Sophia about that. And it always has to do with paid ads, performance, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And so I'm so happy to have Sophia with me today. So Sophia Eriksson is our performance marketing manager. Hi, Sophia.
Hi, Jonna.
And she's taking care of everything paid at Storykit. All the paid ads, the social, the Google, the you name it, she's got it covered. And today we're going to talk about things like that. Demand gen, funnels, ads, the do's and the don'ts. But I'm going to start with, you've been with us for a little over a year. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember a year ago, maybe a bit over a year ago, I really felt, because we had been doing paid ads, especially paid ads on social for quite a long time, quite successfully. But I really felt that we had reached a plateau. We just, whatever we did, we couldn't see it scale the way we wanted it to. And then you came in. And since that, we have been able to scale. So tell me, what were the first things you did when you arrived at Storykit and started working with our things?
First, I had to backtrack, like, what campaigns did you do? What kind of activities did you do? What was strategy back then? I like to see what had been done before me and try to see what could have worked and what didn't work, and then take some bits and pieces from what had been done and develop that into what I wanted to do, like what messaging works good, what kind of assets works good, and use that, but also try to do new takes on those kind of ads or campaigns. But the main thing I did, I remember, was to do this, try to drive ebook downloads. I don't know if you remember, you had I think you wrote 4 of them in a month or something. So we used Facebook for that, which worked so good. We got a lot of ebook downloads, which was so good to see. I know they maybe didn't lead to booked meetings or something, but we still could see, it was like a test, so we could see what kind of ebooks and what kind of topics do they actually want. And we could still get our message out to the audience. So that was really nice.
That was a educative effort that we did. We're going to talk more about those ebooks because we learned so much about them there. But did you do anything in particular in the campaigns? Did you try to reach new target audiences? What did you do?
My Facebook was and is, I think, still kind of tricky with their targeting. You have to really rely on business manager to work its magic towards the audience. So it's very important with your creatives and your messaging just to reach the right audience through that, rather than use interest-based targeting or whatever. You can, of course, use retargeting as well, but I started really broad, mainly, but also using the Facebook pixel to optimize towards what we wanted them to do, drive this ebook download. And we still communicated this is still for businesses. It's not for your personal use, like Storykit at least. So we were able to anyway reach, I guess, the right kind of people that still has a video interest. So it worked in that way.
But since then, we have moved on from Facebook quite a lot. Today, we almost do nothing on Facebook. Why is that?
I think Facebook is it's a good awareness platform. People are there still. We still get a good reach. We still get low cost per click. It's a good awareness channel. But we also know our exact audience, who they are, and we can reach them very straight on LinkedIn. So that's a better channel for us at the moment. We do, of course, people say it's an expensive channel. I don't think so, because we still have way better quality there. So it's good in that sense.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the famous funnel, because I can't count all the times when people have asked me, what's the funnel you use? How do you push people through the funnel? And I believe in the funnel as a mental model for us who are creating stuff. But I am not that convinced that people actually move linearly through a funnel. What's your take on the funnel and using that for social media?
I mean, we've talked about this, and of course you have to have the funnel way of thinking, but you can't really determine when or where to drive someone through it via strategy. But you still have to cover your content through all the stages of the funnel, because you don't know where people are. I mean, you can't. If people don't know us, they won't book a demo with us, or they won't take action. So we have to cover that part too and create the demand, but also do bottom of funnel content for those who are ready and those who are having a deep interest in us, and know the value of, in our case, of video and how they want to use that. So you have to think about what you want to achieve at each stage of the funnel and create content accordingly. So your content should be inspired by your marketing goals. So yeah.
But you don't see the actual individuals going like, oh, that was an awareness ad,
No.
and now I get a consideration ad, and that's a conversion ad. Because as I see it, people just get stuff. And
yeah.
Maybe that's just me. So do you have I know that you know a lot about this. So what type of content do you think works best in every part of the funnel?
I think testimonials works very good. How-to videos, social proof content, like people are influenced by other people's opinions. So that's why testimonials and case studies works really good, I think. Explainers, how does our product solve what pain points our customers have, for example? What is the value? That kind of content. And I think you could use that. Oh, no, go ahead.
Would you say that you use different kind of formats or different kind of contents for the different funnel stages?
Yes. Yes and no, I would say. I think when it comes to bottom of funnel, you have to be like straight to the point. Like book a demo with us. It's not very much room to talk about other stuff than what we actually want them to take action for. But I think, for example, testimonials and case studies could be used for awareness, and it could also be used like in a different format, of course, but also for like a book a demo ad.
And where does video show up in all of this?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
I mean, video is we both use videos and images, of course, but video is a great way to tell your stories and to showcase like testimonials and case studies in a effective way. That's outstanding, and it's also favored by almost all the platforms. Is video everywhere. So it's to our advantage to use video for a lot of content. Then, of course, when it comes to how you're how is it debited?
The what?
How you're
how they charge you?
Yeah, exactly. How they charge you. That could differ from platform to platform, of course, but because then like a video engagement is also something you could get charged for. So we use images sometimes for our book a demo ad, just to eliminate that kind of charging. But it works.
But an old saying is like, use every format. We often get a lot of like, why is this ad an image? Why aren't you using video since you're a video company, blah, blah, blah. And people actually complain about that. And I'm like, why wouldn't we use other formats? What's your opinion on that?
Yes, and it's also comes down to testing to test what works for you. So we have to use all kind of assets and formats to know what really works well for different stages, also for what we want to achieve and what kind of objective we use. But I see higher CTRs, lower CPCs when we use video, when we want to drive website traffic, for example. Having seen lower cost per results when it comes to lead gen ads when using images. So, I think it could also depend on your business and what you communicate, and it all boils down to the actual content. I mean, a good image could outperform a bad video and vice versa. So it's not just the actual format that says how it's going to work. So you have to try there.
Yeah, that's what we always say. You need to try it out 1,000 times to learn what works. And with paid social, you can do that very fast because you just put the budget and you see what happens. And that's why it's so annoying that you can't put video and image ads in the same campaign on LinkedIn. Am I right?
Yes. That's really a pain point for a marketer. Yes, fix that.
So we've learned a lot over the year, but what would you say are, if we don't talk about Storykit in particular, what would you say are the general best practices when it comes to paid social overall? I know there are so many, it depends here, but if you would have to give a couple of good pointers in general.
Know your audience. Who are they? Do they know about your business? And if so, what do they think of you? And how much do they know about your company or your product? It's not only about persona, but also about their pain points and how you solve their potential problem or need. You have to know that in order to actually create good content that communicates towards those people. So you have to know your audience, and also to know who to target. Who are they? Who are the people we want to reach? And before entering any platform, have a strategy for how to use it. So you don't have to be on every platform just because. So think about what you want to do at each platform and see how does other people do, how do other companies do, how do our competitors do on each platform, and take inspiration from that maybe, if it's the first time starting up with something. And also align your creative with your conversion funnel. Take some time to figure out what you want to achieve at each stage of the funnel, as we talked about earlier. Who do you want to reach out to and to create ads from that perspective? And I also think embrace the video content because it catches attentions and it's favored by almost all platforms today. People are more likely to purchase things from companies who they like and trust, and video is a better tool to use to show what your brand is about, and at the same time it captures attention in an outstanding way. And I know we have short attention spans. We still want to just continue scrolling in our feeds, so you have to stand out, and video is a good way to catch attention. And with that said, also get to the point early in, the first 3 to 4 seconds are the most important. So,
yeah, especially when it comes to ads.
Yeah,
you don't stick around if you don't like it.
No.
Let's talk about a bit more about those gated ebooks, because in the demand gen world right now, there's a lot of hate on the gated ebooks. And what we did a year ago, we wrote 4 ebooks during the fall, and we had them gated and we did ads, and we had tremendous success. I think there were 4,000 or 5,000 downloads. They cost us pretty much nothing all over Europe, and it was amazing up until we realized that we're not driving any kinds of business results through these. So what did we learn about that, would you say?
I think, as I said earlier, we could see what kind of ebooks and what kind of content people actually wanted to know more about, and communicate other ads and other blog posts and other content out of that, and try to communicate that in other formats. So that was a value, that was an insight. So even if it didn't drive actual business value or new customers or booked meetings, it still gave us something to know what to talk about, I think. Yeah,
I really agree with that. And I think that we will keep writing ebooks and playbooks and things like that. But I don't think we'll gate them in the future. What would you say about that?
No, I agree on that. I mean, obviously it worked for us, but I think as it didn't really drive any business opportunities, just straight out of that, I mean, then we could just get our message out there and continue to educate people. And that is way better to do ungated. So
would you say that it would be, do you think that if we would put the same ebooks out today, ungated, do you think the cost would be lower for every?
Yes, I would, because that also takes away one step.
Yeah. How would you do?
And that's also,
now I'm really curious. How would you do that? Would you try to make it like downloadable from the platform directly, or do you think still that we should get them to a landing page?
If the main objective is to get people to actually download, then I would do it in the platform directly, because again, it like eliminates one step, which is always good. But if we also see a value to drive people to our website in the same, if that's also something we value, then we could do that too. But it all comes down to testing. But I think if we would do that test, I still think we would get more downloads if we put it on the platform directly.
Yeah, interesting. We need to try that. Another thing that gets a lot of hate in the demand gen world is LinkedIn lead gen. And our main CTA right now is Book a Demo. And we have driven really good results through the infamous LinkedIn lead gen. So tell me a bit about that. Why do you think we're having a lot of success with this?
Yeah, I don't really get all the hate that lead gen ads get. I know it's not the most interesting kind of ad, of course, but it's getting straight to the point and it works for us. I don't think you should put all your budget effort into lead gen ads because, yet again, we have to be everywhere in the funnel and not just book a demo with us. But I don't know, we can still communicate what pain points our audience may have and how it could be solved just throughout those ads too. People are interested. They are booking demos through those lead gen ads. And that's also one thing that I saw from before I started. There were a lot of campaigns pushing people to the website and to book a demo there. And that's also like another step in the way to do that. And just get them to fill in a form straight on LinkedIn works way better instead of having the conversions on the actual site. It's still something we can do, but through other ads. I mean, when we do awareness campaigns, we still see traffic to our website and people filling up our main form there too. But lead gen ads works good for us. So I guess that's why I don't really get all the hate.
Now, you have also had a really good cooperation with people at LinkedIn to work with this.
They've been super helpful to help us set up a strategy and how to work with the lead gen ads, getting us some benchmarks and see how we perform compared to that. So that's been super helpful to get that help.
Yeah, we really need to give LinkedIn some love here, because oftentimes when you hear like, oh, you have someone at the company, well, they just want you to spend more money. Well, of course they want us to spend more money, but for us, it's so easy to see if that money actually has effect. And if they help us get more effect, we'll spend more money. So it's a win-win situation. So I don't really get that type of hate. A lot of hate in this. I need to see. We always get kind of particular questions, like very specific questions. And one that I couldn't really answer the last time when I spoke with Peder, our CEO, was how long should I run a campaign before I realize that, okay, this isn't working? How much time should I give it? Do you have a good answer for that?
The good but boring answer is it depends, like everything.
No!
I mean, it's hard to say. It depends on the size of your audience. It depends on the size of your budget. How much do you have to? I mean, those two are the most important things. Do you have a really small audience? Then no need for a very long campaign. The bigger your audience is, the longer you can run it for. But it all comes down to see how it performs, basically. And I work very much with the like always on campaigns, so we don't have an end date for them, but that's through our perspective and our business goals. But the most important here is then to rotate the ads instead within the actual campaign. Then of course, if you have something that's like time limited, if you want to promote a webinar, for example, or an event, then yeah, of course you have to have an end date on that. But I think the most important is to see how your campaign performs. And if you see like decreased performance for a long time, even though you rotate your ads or then of course you should maybe end it and create something new and different from scratch, I would say.
I see that there has popped up some questions in the chat, Heidi. Is there anything we want to get into? Now you're on mute, I think.
Of course I was. I think, let's start with this one, because I think it's very interesting. For an awareness ad, how do you measure if the ad is worth the awareness? How do you calculate it? So how do you calculate awareness?
Yeah, that's really hard. I think one thing interesting is to see how does your brand searches change at the same time as you run your awareness campaigns. Do you get more brand searches? Are people more aware? Then you can, of course, look at figures like your CPM and to always compare to yourself what you've done before and compare CPMs within that campaign to see what kind of ads work really good, but it's always hard to say how
awareness is super hard to measure.
Yeah, that takes time too. So maybe you can see the results even later. But I know when we do awareness campaigns for new markets, for example, we see an increased brand searches sometimes, and we see increased traffics and also signups to our main form on the website. So that's something you can see if it has an effect overall. But it's hard to know how it's perceived in people's head.
Yeah, I really agree. I think that brand search is if you want to these things are so hard to attribute. I mean, and I really think that looking at brand searches is one good way of trying to find some numbers that can tell you that something has worked. Also, seeing how things are moving at all. I mean, when we do we tried an awareness campaign this summer on YouTube, for example, and that was a new thing for us. And what we tried to see was that what's happening all over the place. So is this affecting our LinkedIn cost? Is this affecting our LinkedIn following? Is this affecting our visits to the site, our organic visits to the site, our brand searches? So you have to pick up a whole bunch of different signals. And no, you might not be entirely convinced that everything comes from that specific campaign. But I mean, it is a big network of things that you are doing. And I really think that we could attribute that campaign a lot of action that was going on during that time. What would you say?
Yeah, I agree totally on that. And also when people hear about us, or when our SDRs do an outreach, maybe our awareness campaigns Storykit, I know I saw something about that, or they have some kind of idea what we actually do. So that could also help, of course. And also when we're running awareness campaigns parallel with our lead gen campaigns, I actually see the cost per lead gen going down. So then, of course, you have to summarize all the budget that you spend. But still, they work very good together.
Yeah. And talking about the SDRs, we really need to give some love to the SDR marketing cooperation in this company, because I think it's quite unique. You, the whole team, of course, but especially you, have a really close contact with the SDR team. Tell us about that and why it's important for us.
It's really important because if we get lead gen ads and fill in forms, it's so important to know what kind of quality it is. Is it the people we actually want to get us inbounds, or is it complete waste of money otherwise? So it's really good to see what's your opinion about the leads coming in? Is it good quality? Is it the right people we're reaching? If not, who are they? So then we can exclude those from the targeting, for example. So that's super important. And from my end, I can see like, oh, this campaign seems to go really well, or Spain is like a super nice market for the moment because we're getting so lower cost per results. But then again, if it's not the right people that we want to reach, then it isn't our best market anymore. So, and yet again, it could say it looks like it's slow in Germany, for example, because we're not getting very many inbounds in, but the quality is on top. Then that's the best market from that perspective. So it's super important to have that. We have like a daily communication about that. So I really appreciate all their good work.
Yeah, you've also been really good at using them for localizing things, because we realized quite fast that we needed to localize much, much more than we had wanted to, because it takes time. So how do you use them for that? Because we have SDRs from every market, like Spain, France, Germany, Switzerland, all of them.
Yeah, it's about to get their help to understand. It's not about only translation, because you can just take a text and translate it and assume that it will work in that market, because that's not the way they talk. So how do I often say to them nowadays, like, do you know what works best on your market? How would you want to communicate this message? You can take this as an inspiration, but write it with your own words in ways that you. I know there's a saying in Finland, I don't have it on my mind right now, but Vera said, or our Finnish SDR said something about this is like a common saying, and it worked very well with storytelling and video. So I was like, perfect, use that, because you know what works best in your market. And just from my end, say, we want to communicate like this perspective or this pain point or this challenge, but happy to use your own words to do that, and to give them that freedom. I think they think it's funnier to work that way, and it's even better. So it's a win-win situation. And even if people all over Europe or in the world are good at English, it still communicates better. Yet again, about catching attention, and that should be in your mother language.
Yeah, really. And also, one thing we also do with the SDR team is that we tell them what we are doing, because at a lot of points we're communicating a specific message, and they need to know how to respond if they get questions about that and so forth. But we can also ask them like, okay, we're going to try this and this. So please, could you keep us posted on what's happening out there? Yeah. And then we get a very quick response on like, okay, so we see that these things are working, these things are not. So it's been super exciting, and I'm so happy that we have that alignment with the teams. And the trick there is to talk a lot to each other. I was going to ask you, you have tried loads of different ads. And when it comes to video, do you have any, or I know that you have, but what are your like best practice things when it comes to video? What works best when it comes to ads, social, and video?
I think you have to test, of course, but again, keep it kind of fast. You have another attention span when it comes to ads compared to organic content. You don't want to be interrupted with something that's not interesting or relevant for you. So get to the point kind of early in your video. Keep it short but simple. Maybe about 15-30 seconds as maximum, I would say, because we can't keep people's attention really, really long. And also use a lot of videos, because you can build retargeting layers towards that. I mean, if you have someone looking at 50 or 75% of your 1 minute video, for example, or even 30 seconds, then you have their interest and you have their knowing, and to build an audience based on that, to then use further down in the funnel for your bottom of funnel activities. It's really good.
One thing we've also seen that works, which is no surprise, is faces.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah. And for me, as a journalist who's been working with magazines, it comes as no surprise. You would not put anything else than a face on a magazine.
Yeah. And again, get to the point early. Isn't that also a journalist's rule?
Yeah, truly.
Or the most important thing first.
Yeah. And we use our own colleagues a lot for the ads, which is fun.
Yeah, it outperforms almost everything else. So I've almost given up on other kind of content. But then you can do really a lot of different things within that concept, so to speak. If you use people in your videos or in your ads, you can still do that from different angles and with different topics. So, but yeah, humans. And also when we're doing some testimonial ads, we can use sometimes the company logo and try that also with face. And probably a logo would be more like people would know that or recognize that more, but still the testimonials with the faces works better. So yeah, we're all humans talking to humans.
We're all humans. Hey, do you have any questions for us?
I got one question. I got many.
Who has asked it? You need to tell me who's asking. I love that.
It's Rick. Thank you so much
Rick,
for participating in the conversation. I think it's going to be hard to answer this without being totally biased, but Rick asks, videos are often an expensive thing to advertise because you need to put a lot of time and money to create the video without really knowing what the ad is going to do. Any tips on create video ads without spending a lot of money on creating the video?
I want to answer that. First, you need to have the right tool, because you need to have a tool that enables you to try out a lot of things. If you are trying to create a super expensive, super complicated, the old way, specialist way to create videos or go to an agency, yes, you're right. Then video would be a very costly thing. But with the right tool, I know one, you can actually create thousands of videos, thousands, but a lot of video very, very fast, and try out different messaging, different assets, different colors, different lengths, different formats, different whatever, different languages. And when you do that, you will very fast realize what's working or not. And that's pretty much what we try to do. Am I right, Sophia?
Yes, absolutely right. I don't have much of value to add to that. You said it perfectly.
Because I mean, I remember when I often come back to when I interviewed Facebook about Facebook ads, and one thing they said was that companies that work a lot with direct response advertising, they might have thousands of ads out there at the same time just to try out different things. And it can be one color, it can be one sentence, it can be one image, that they're just tweaking and tweaking and tweaking to find that ad that will work even a bit better all the time. And that's the way to work, because I mean, if you have something that works, let it roll for a long time. It might work for a long time, but never let that ad that works stop you from trying new things, because all of a sudden you stumble upon something that works even better, and then you need to recreate that for a while and so forth.
Yeah, and try to figure out what is exactly in this ad that actually works. Is it the messaging? Is it the face? Or is it the color? Is it the CTA? I mean, what is it? What can we continue to build on that?
I was going to talk to you a bit about frequency. Sometimes we get people like, we get so many ads from you, just stop posting. But I know that there are golden rules when it comes to frequency in advertising. So please tell us about how you're working, Sophia.
Yeah, I mean, that's like tricky, because I mean, you need to have like kind of high frequency just to get people to know your brand, and that doesn't happen from like one ad. So you have to keep popping up, not too frequent though, but still a lot of times. But then again, if we work like bottom of funnel, and if people have seen our ads 3 or 4 times and still haven't booked a demo with us, then maybe they're not interested. So that requires like a lower frequency than if you want an awareness messaging out there. So I think it's like, it's hard to know. I mean, yet again, you have to check your performance and how it goes. And if you see decreased performance or high within like a high frequency, then rotate your ads. Do that often.
Is there like a benchmark what a high frequency is? Or does that also depend?
I would say it depends. I know for bottom of funnel content, 2 to 4 times is like a maximum. Then you should not aim for a higher frequency than 4
a week
in general.
Or
overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because sometimes we get people, as I said, we get people like, we see your ads all the time. We've also heard customers going like, okay, now I bought your tool. Could we please not get your ads anymore? But that's kind of impossible, isn't it? To exclude like every user that we get in. Or could we do that?
Yeah, so we can exclude like certain companies and we can exclude certain job titles, of course, which is something we work with to do. But again, we also do a lot of other kind of campaigns where they might fit in, or maybe it pops up because someone they know has engaged with us in our ads in some way, and then it pops up again. So, which could be like organically, and not by that we're charged for. So it's impossible to
just exclude everyone. I also think that there's a point with that. I studied in my university days. I studied cognitive dissonance theory quite a lot, and one thing that has taught us is that when we've bought something, we want to read and see things that convince us that we made the right decision. So just cutting everything off after someone would have purchased Storykit or whatever tool would just be a bit strange, because that's when we want to, okay, I want to convince myself that I made the right decision. So I wouldn't even want to do that. So you will keep getting our ads. I think I have asked most of the questions that I had on my list. Do we have any more nice questions in the chat?
We do. I know Rick asked in the beginning of the webinar, and I think he might have answered this, but he says, I personally never get attracted to YouTube ads. What is the goal of a video ad? Is it creating awareness or direct conversions?
Sophia?
Yeah, I would say you can use video for both goals, if that was a question. I think for YouTube, as we have used it, is most for awareness. But with that said, that's because driving conversions, we have a better platform to do that and a better strategy to do that within another platform. But with that said, I think you could try video, try and see what works for you. Also depending on your business and your product, your target group, to see what works.
Yeah, I mean, I often say this, but we've tried and had so much success with video for ebook downloads, for webinar signups, for booking a demo, for almost every type of like true conversion that you can think of. We have tried video and it has worked. So never. You should never just consider video as an awareness game, because then you're missing out. I was going to ask you, Sophia, are there things you have completely stopped doing after learning that it just doesn't work when it comes to ads in social?
Good question. I guess there's a lot of things, because I'm not a perfect person. I try things and they don't work well, of course. One main thing is like not try to drive, and that's for our business, but not trying to drive conversions through Facebook, because it doesn't work. It's getting so much more expensive. But it's a great way to drive traffic to your website, for example, and to create awareness, because yet again, people are there. But that's something I know I tried when I started here just to see how it works. It worked good for the ebooks, but to drive people to book a demo didn't work at all.
Let me refine that answer, because we've talked about this quite a lot, you and I. it did work, but it was just all the time it was the wrong people.
Yeah, true. And I know
we drove a lot of conversions through Facebook, but it was always the wrong people.
Yeah. And what I mean with didn't work, business-wise, it didn't work because it wasn't the right people. So, so of course, yes, it worked, but it didn't work all the way that we wanted. No.
And are there, I guess this is a really stupid question but anyways, are there things that you still want to try out? And the answer to that is yes, like 1,000 things. But are there any specific things that you're really keen on trying soon?
Yeah, I know you and I have talked about this, but I'm very curious about getting more and more into TikTok. As a B2B company, I think that's a super exciting platform. And it's like the new search engine. And it's a great way out to showcase your product and do these how-to videos. So it's just to create your brand value and your brand messaging. I'm very curious to see what that would happen. I don't necessarily believe that we could like get people to book a demo, not in the beginning at least, but eventually within time, if we enter TikTok as a platform and see what content that succeed and what ads that succeed, then maybe can build up to actually have that as a conversion platform too, eventually. So that's something
I'm also really excited about that.
I want to
do. Heidi, did we have any more questions?
We do. We got one from Draga, who asks, if we plan to make ads on LinkedIn, how long should the video be? Are there any rules? We all know that the first seconds are crucial, but any tip on what works good for first seconds, especially if it's about product promotion or a new product promotion? Great question.
Yeah, so how long it should be, you could test that. I think
it depends.
Yeah, maybe not a 2-minute video. I also think they have an actual limit for ads. Don't have it in my head right now how long that is. But try. I think we use 15 to 30 seconds, depending on the messaging and what the ad is about. I mean, if it's a good video, then people will continue to watch it. And the perks with like a longer video is that you can, if people actually look, the view through rate is 50 or 75%. That's a huge, valuable sign, and that you can build this retargeting layer onto later.
Yeah, I agree. And when it comes to starting the video, I would say that using faces, as we said, is a really good trick. It's not the only trick in the book, but it's a good thing to try out. And people just waving, smiling, talking into the camera is actually really nice because it grabs your attention. But then again, if you start with something else, there are 1,000 different ways to start a video really good, but try to have a hook, whether you're writing a headline or you're using a quote or you're starting the video with a question. Really work on that first hook, because it needs to be something that grabs the attention of the viewer. And it doesn't matter if it's organic content or ads, but it's especially important when it comes to ads. So what I usually say is do avoid headings. Like, don't start with the new report, because that's not even a headline. It's just a heading and it won't catch anyone's attention ever. So work a lot on the first seconds and do try a face or two, and I think it'll work. Any more, Heidi?
I have to, no, I just want to add, like, I know for me it was a really good learning process to give myself 10 to 15 seconds, like regardless of what I wanted to say, and just keep experimenting and trying to use those 10 questions the best you can.
Yeah.
And then you'll learn by just adjusting yourself.
That's so true.
Then we got a question also from Rick about shopping campaigns.
Ooh.
I sometimes close shopping campaigns because they do not create conversions. What is your experience with shopping campaigns? Do we have any?
No,
this is not for me, but you might have any experience, Sophia.
No, I haven't really worked with shopping campaigns. At least not for a while. No, I haven't really. So what's the question again? How they don't perform good?
The question was actually, what's your experience on it?
No, not really much at all. And the little experience I have is from years ago. So I think a lot of has happened within shopping campaigns since then. So
I think the basics there are true, though. You still need to test so much and be quite quick about it. Because when it comes to shopping, also, the direct response that we talked about earlier is like, try to have a lot of content out there and really try to refresh it and learn from what you see. But I mean, those rules are so generic that it's almost impossible to just like, yeah, I'm going to try really a lot of things. But I really do think it's the only way to learn, because all these like best practices and stuff, it might not work for you. You really need to try what works for you and your product. So
yeah, I mean, if it was a straight answer to all of these questions, then no one would have a problem in the world. We wouldn't be sitting here talking, I guess, because
now we would be rich then if we knew the answers. Well, then, I think we're reaching the end for this episode. Thank you very much, Sophia, for coming and straightening things out for us. I am guessing that we'll have you on again later when we have collected more specific questions, because people always wonder, and it's so difficult to navigate in the world of paid ads. And thank you, Heidi, and thank you to everyone that's been here, and especially you who have asked questions. They help us out a lot, and it's so fun to dig into other people's thoughts. We'll be back again in 2 weeks. We do this every second Thursday live, same spot. That means a Zoom webinar. And you can also listen to this episode afterwards on a lot of podcast platforms. So please don't hesitate to come back, and see you all not next week, but the week after that. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.